Hey, welcome back. My name is Fabian. I'm a former automotive strategy consultant turned digital product manager. And in today's session, we're going to talk about effective supply chain management in automotive. There are a few areas I would like to touch on today. So they include sourcing and procurement, manufacturing processes, logistics and distribution, inventory management and just-in-time manufacturing, resilience and risk management, and finally, sustainability and ethical sourcing. And overall, effective supply chain management in automotive is the core of what original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, are all about. When I did my PhD research, one of the senior managers I interviewed actually referred to OEMs as supply chain orchestrators at the core. So this is really what they do. Most often than not, they don't manufacture all of these little bits and bobs themselves, but they bring together engines, battery cells into battery packs. They don't produce, most often than not, tires themselves, but buy them from Conti and other manufacturers. So effective supply chain management is really important. And we've also seen this during the crisis where really, even in some cases, I know semiconductors was a very prominent one, but it's led to production halts across the globe and millions down the drain because we couldn't stick to and I come to this in a second, our production sequences. So to kick things off with the first category, sourcing and procurement. Generally, when we talk about sourcing and procurement, we talk about either raw materials, I don't know, for example, steel, which would be something original equipment manufacturers use themselves. We talk about components, so specific components of the vehicle, or we talk about specific parts, I don't know, like nuts and bolts, things like that. And there are a couple of considerations we need to make. So we need to have a think about costs, we have to think about quality, we have to think about reliability, and we have to think about sustainability when we select our suppliers. So these are generally some of the key factors big manufacturers look into, and they don't just trust them, but they have very clear agreements with their suppliers. So it's actually a core competency of original equipment manufacturers to establish these robust relationships and then draw clear agreements with them in terms of on a very high level expectation management, and then of course with potential legal consequences if they aren't met. But this is really important in terms of sourcing and procurement. Touching on the second category, manufacturing processes. So there's loads to unpick, but some of the kind of typical manufacturing processes in automotive include stamping, welding, painting, assembly. So also some of the kind of core processes we delved into for my engineering undergraduate degree now many years ago. And there are a couple of principles that are really important when we talk about these types of manufacturing processes. For example, lean manufacturing principles and strategies for optimizing production efficiencies, reducing waste, and improving quality. So they're generally kind of three core areas manufacturers try to optimize for. And of course, it's almost like kind of areas of tension generally when you want to improve quality. I know the efficiency might go down because you set higher bars, and I know waste might go up. Whereas, I mean, you get the gist of it, but it's really challenging to optimize all of them, and there's a fine line between them. Luckily, there are some innovations in manufacturing processes, especially recently, that help with that. So, for example, automation processes, robotics has been really big. And also additive manufacturing recently, so things like 3D printing on the shop floor, has been a game changer in automotive production. Well, not a game changer, but it definitely helped with challenging areas here and there. Moving over to our next topic in terms of logistics and distribution. Again, this is really critical, and both in academia and managerial practice, there are entire worlds just about kind of logistics and network distribution. In automotive, generally it covers inbound logistics, so for example, parts delivery, and outbound logistic, so kind of vehicle distribution, depending on what type of model we talk about, usually kind of to a hub somewhere or to a retailer directly. There are various strategies automotive OEMs use for optimizing transport routes. They want to minimize lead times, which is again really critical, and they want to reduce logistics costs. Something to highlight here is that all of this will change or will not change, but the area of responsibility will change as automotive OEMs try to sell cars more directly to end customers. I've tried it multiple times, but now they try to gain back this, they try to capture this area of the value chain, and this will have kind of massive implications for them if they have to cover the last mile to the end customer as well. So they try to optimize logistics and distribution through various technologies like GPS tracking, route optimization software, and also real-time inventory management systems. So again, there are entire companies just focused on these sorts of solutions. When we talk about kind of manufacturing principles, we definitely have to talk about inventory management and just-in-time manufacturing. They have all sorts of applications in automotive, and there are very distinct strategies for inventory management, including the minimization of inventory levels for obvious reasons, to improve inventory turnover, and to implement Kanban systems. So kind of a very sequential way of looking at things in terms of essentially just providing, or almost just providing, of course there's an element of risk involved, but what you actually need for specific production processes. There are various benefits to just-in-time, such as reduced inventory holding costs, improved cash flow for automotive OEMs, and faster response to market demand. We also have to bear in mind, if we think back to this original idea of automotive OEMs as supply chain orchestrators, how important this is. It's a very capital intense business after all, and even these seemingly small areas, they can add up across the value chain, and could be a reason why one player might survive and others don't, because this will, just as one example, provide them with more capital that they can then invest to improve further areas of their business that kind of potentially leads to this upward spiral. Next, we're going to talk about resilience and risk management. Again, there is so much to it, but on a very high level, there, of course, has been a huge impact of disruptions recently, especially such as natural disasters, geopolitical tensions, and supply chain disruptions, for example, the COVID-19 pandemic recently. And it's really critical to manage risk effectively. And a couple of kind of high-level points automotive original equipment manufacturers have adopted here include the diversification of suppliers, so less reliance for kind of in terms of single sourcing on one or very few suppliers. They have started to implement more contingency plans in terms of what they do when certain things happen. And they also, and this has been potentially the biggest topic of the past 2 years, I would say, started to leverage data analytics for risk mitigation. There have been various efforts, especially recently, to improve sustainability and ethical sourcing more in automotive. So that includes efforts to reduce carbon emissions, minimize waste, promote responsible sourcing of raw materials, for example, conflict minerals. And this has potentially been one of the trends that developed most over the past year, I would say. So I go to lots of leading automotive conferences, and the emphasis on transparency and tracking in terms of sustainability, and we talk about all areas of sustainability, is not just environmental sustainability, has been huge. So their entire initiatives just focused on sustainability tracking. So for example, the Sustainability-Based Targets Initiative, and entire alliances. So for example, there is a Responsible Business Alliance, RBA, or a Automotive Industry Action Group that really helps industry players to collaborate in terms of initiatives for sustainability. So this has been huge in automotive recently. So just to summarize, we've covered all sorts of areas today, but on a very high level, we emphasize the importance of supply chain processes for efficiency, resilience, and sustainability. And I would highly encourage you to further explore the resources on sustainable supply chain management and best practices and innovation. It's a hugely important, arguably growing in importance topic. And if this has been valuable, first of all, thank you so much for watching, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.